One of the questions that comes up when I talk clients through the revenue acceleration flywheel is, where do we start? There's a lot on here, so what should be the priority? And the short answer is start anywhere, because it's a flywheel. You're going to go round and round in circles. So whether you start with a buying experience or you start with your product and pricing, it's more important to start than to worry too much about where is the right place. The longer answer is to be a bit more strategic about your thinking about where you can have the most immediate impact on your revenue. And so let me walk you through a concept called the RevOps Bullseye, which is going to help you to assess that. So it's exactly the same 22 capabilities that we've got on the full flywheel. At the top, we've got the externally focused 11 capabilities, and on the bottom, the 11 internal capabilities. And the first exercise that you're going to go through with your team is a full day workshop. Now, that feels like a long time, but to get through all 22 and to provide 15 minutes for each of them, it's going to take a full day. So the exercise you're going to go through is that for each of these 22 capabilities, as a leadership team, you're going to take 15 minutes to workshop if this was the one capability that we wanted to improve in order to improve our revenues over the next quarter or two. What is it that we could do and should do? Now, the importance of doing every single one of these 22 capabilities is that it removes your bias towards one or two capabilities that you feel most comfortable with. So, for example, you might say, right, well, we're just going to improve our enablement of our sellers. We're going to focus in on enablement. It's an internal thing. I know that we can create better content. I know that we can train our sellers better. So let's go and do that. You may feel less comfortable looking at your buying channels that your customers are going to purchase through. I don't really know about setting up an affiliate program. I don't really know about setting up resellers, so I'm going to hide away from that. By forcing your leadership team to look at every single one of those, you'll really come up with some innovation that you might not have normally come across. So how are you going to do that? Let me show you this template that I've created, and let me zoom into that a little bit. So for each of the 22 capabilities, you've got a 15-minute section. And so here, for example, is the dark funnel. And I would recommend that your team are doing this in person with post-it notes, with pens. It's going to be much more creative than trying to do this exercise remotely. So bring people together. And over the 15 minutes that you have for each of these capabilities, ask your team, if this was the only thing we could do over the next quarter, what suggestions can we come up with to improve our pipeline and our revenue? As an example, for the dark funnel, we might say, well, okay, what about if 30 days after every customer has gone live, we are going to email them and request that they post a review and a video on G2. Over the course of a couple of quarters, this is going to improve the quantity and quality of independent reviews that our potential buyers are going to find on G2. So as you go through the day, we just want to throw up as many of these ideas. We're not looking at prioritizing yet. We just want as many of these ideas. You're going to go through the morning, you're going to have a break, you're going to go through the rest of the morning, you're going to have lunch, and then we're going to go on to the internal aspects, and then you get towards the end of the day. So that's a full day of 15-minute sessions. Having got to the end of that process, you're then going to bring your team together again at the end of the day to go through this middle ring selection. And what I mean by this is that we're going to look at all of those 22 and to pick 3 that we think are the highest probability to impact our revenue over the short term. So for those, we might say, right, well, this is a middle ring test option. If you've got more than 3 that you think are going to be really, really high potential, then to refine that, you're going to do the ICE test, which is quite common in product growth teams. So we're going to assess each of your options against the impact, 1 to 10, your confidence that it's going to have a good outcome, and the ease of implementation. So, for example, emailing customers 30 days after they've gone live, well, we think that the impact of that and having good reviews on G2 is going to be 6 out of 10. Our confidence on that is pretty high because we know that buyers go to G2 to assess where they should shortlist. And the ease of doing this is pretty easy. It's just we work with our customer marketing team to make sure that this email is going out to our named buyers. Then we're going to have a score, 23 out of 30. And if we've got 5 or 6 that we really think are going to be a middle ring option, then we're just going to score, we're going to take the top 3 scores and they're going to go into our middle ring option. So that is the process. Having completed those middle ring tests, you're then going to come up with one that really does provide immediate impact. And over the course of the next quarter, you're going to double down on implementing that change in your systems. Now you can break that process down a little bit in this bullseye schedule, which I will just bring up here and make myself a little bit smaller. So this shows you a little bit about how you can integrate this process into your quarterly goal setting. You might follow an OKR model, for example, with quarterly objectives. So if we're heading towards the start of a quarter, starting in January, then maybe 6 weeks out, we want to run this workshop with our core team to go around the entire bullseye of 22 capabilities. We then want to select the 3 that we want to run our middle ring tests with, which will run over the course of a 4 to 6 week period. As we run into the start of the quarter, we're going to select the one center ring test that we're going to roll out, and then we're going to roll that out over the course of 3 months and implement that across our wider team. Meanwhile, as we're going through Q1, halfway through, we're running that outer ring workshop once more and reassessing what are going to be the top 3 that we want to test before we roll out a new center ring capability across our team. This means that at the end of a year, you'll have run at least 12 middle ring tests and deployed at least 4 actual capability improvements across your team. And I can tell you that compared to most of your competitors who'll spend a lot of time planning or not rolling anything out, you'll be ahead of the curve. And so good luck. I always remember the RevOps Bullseye as a great way of figuring out where to start on the Revenue Acceleration Flywheel. And of course, if you need any help, just ping me. I'm happy to hop on a call and guide you.